Hey there, it's Jenny Clark with Solvability here on GovCon Summit. Today's panel is about cybersecurity environment across the state of Florida and what we can be doing to make sure that we're serving our defense contractors in the community, our veterans that are looking for cyber jobs, and really come up with a statewide plan. So I've got with me today Chris Middleton. If you raise your hand up there, Chris. He's a Navy veteran that was at University of West Florida Innovation Program. He recently started a new job. He's up in the Pensacola area. Larry Martin has been a big time help with me. He is in Tampa Bay, has been active with Tampa Bay Defense Community and many other organizations on behalf of Tampa, and was base commander at MacDill for many years. And then we have Ryan Fierce with Enterprise Florida, who happens to do an awful lot in identifying where the investment from the state of Florida needs to go in and encouraging our businesses. And Lynn Fisher I met during COVID because somebody said, you need to talk to her. She's got an entire training academy to address all of these cybersecurity skills and certifications. So we're so glad that you're all here today. So let me just start. I'd like to start, if I could, with Larry and Chris. You've been working on ways to help Florida residents, especially veterans, get and retain their security clearances faster. Tell us about your work so far.
Well, Jenny, thanks for letting us join you today. We're excited to be here. Chris and I have been working with a pilot project here in Tampa. We know that around the country, there's a huge need for folks in the GovCon community and for other businesses that have their security clearances. And at the time that it takes for them to get their security clearances is often from 6 to 18 months. And that's a huge cost, delaying folks that want to go to work and forcing companies to pay people to do busy work while they wait. So the beginning of our project in a way to try to increase the resource of people who might have security clearances or folks that might work in the cybersecurity area is to work with the state university system here in Tampa and to focus on STEM students and try to shorten the flash to bang for when those students might come on board and might be able to work for a company. As I mentioned, to get the highest level security clearance now sometimes takes folks coming out of our universities up to 18 months. Our goal is to use the time when the students are at university to shorten that process. If they work inside an internship or in a partnership, to let them get their security clearance while they're a student. And then to work with the state university system to help monitor those graduates to create a pool for government contractors. Often for the problem for folks that are working government contracting is you work hard to get your RFP done and to get your proposal awarded. You get the award, you turn around and you look behind you and you realize that you don't have the people staffed yet to do the work because you haven't had the ability to do it yet. So this is a known problem. We're working with the folks at the state university system, great partners with them, with Cyber Florida, Vice Admiral Mike McConnell and Ron Sanders and their team for working with, and then again with DEO, Florida Office of Economic Opportunity. This has been broad-based. We'll do the pilot here in Tampa. I could talk a long time about that, Jenny, but I won't because I haven't talked to Chris and to Lynn and to Ryan. I'm talking one tool. They're going to talk about a bunch of tools that might help folks that are in the government contracting business and how we might support them. Chris, let me kick it over to you.
Thanks, General, and thanks, Jenny, for having me on, and hello from Pensacola. In this format that is cyber initiatives affecting veteran employment, the clearances are a high ROI as an opportunity because the ability for a small company, perhaps, or certainly the rest of the mids and bigs, to access the veteran at the value point, which is that 18-month holding window to try to get that clearance. And so in some of the initiatives, and certainly from one of my backgrounds, which is that university and innovation piece, the public view or maybe the national security view of the public, private, and academia triangle to accelerate. So that's a well-known structure. It's been around for a couple of secretaries of defense now. So public, private, academia. I think what we've found, and certainly with General Martin and all the work in former DNI McConnell and Dr. Sanders, is You have public, private, and academia. So who can go first? Well, public's not going to change its policy. So let's not hope that public agencies can help first. And not the state agencies, but let's look at the federal agencies and where their ownership is and the ability or the inability for change. So the second one is academia. Two limits there. One is another public institution at academic speeds, and which aren't probably very fast. And then lastly is academic funding blocks. So that leaves us with private sector. And I think we're in a new economic space where private sector has to go first. And it's a hard line to stand on and say, well, we have 100 veterans and they're right here. Here they are all lined up. The rest is you. And so what we found in private sector is private sector will readily pay $10,000 to $25,000 a head to a headhunting organization for that veteran and that clearance with those cybersecurity certs. Yet in the initiative space, if teams, and I'll use Larry and I as an example, approach a company and say, hey, for $5,000 a head, we'll bring you the veteran with the clearance. And for $3,000 additional dollars, we'll get those cybersecurity certs lined up. Do you have $8,000 per employee to invest? And for whatever reason, at this current state in the initiatives, that answer is no. And yet, for programmatic reasons, the same company will pay $10,000 to a headhunter to bring in a higher ready person. And so that's the state of play, and certainly in a glass half full approach to this panel. So what are the initiatives that are affecting veteran employment that are noteworthy? Acknowledging the security clearance is an 18-month value point on a wrapped rate. So that's easy math. That's 6 figures for just about any skilled employee. So if you're going to access a 6-figure savings on a veteran as private sector, what's the size of the check you're willing to write? That's the hard question. It's very friendly. It's in a Rotary Club or a chamber environment. It's all very, we all want to get to the finish line, but it's a tough question to ask. Is we're about to save you $100,000. Do you have 10? And the answer is consistently no. And that's where we are. So now on the contractor outreach point, and I'm not going to steal any Ryan's thunder, but the leadership at the Florida level to inventory and arrange and know where those contractors are is creating a network of support. SkillBridge is free. It's too easy. 6 months active duty with a clearance. You don't pay a thing. You don't pay healthcare. You don't pay salary. You are obligated under DoD SkillBridge to provide a job consideration at the end of those 6 months. You do not have to hire the veteran. So that's good clarity on DoD as an initiative, or SkillBridge as an initiative. In speaking with the Deputy Assistant Secretary that runs SkillBridge, his verbatim quote was, "We have an obligation to transition all of the expensive training that the veteran has, the soon-to-be veteran has achieved in their active duty path, to meaningful national work." So if we've made a diesel mechanic or a jet engine mechanic or a cybersecurity warrior, we've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in their skill set. So DoD SkillBridge is an ideal use of that, and that's an initiative. So my goal was to just bring a short list of initiatives. So there are the internship and apprentice states, Hire Our Heroes, the fellowships. Those are all out there. In the Who Goes First department, the challenges to the private sector lifting. Again, it's hard because there's no bandwidth because private sector has a day job. And yet, if they want to join the 150 plus companies and hire our heroes, and I am broadcasting to you from a private sector desk in a private sector building. So I understand the money involved. So in that dialogue for the employer piece, it has to be a job or even an FTE or a partial FTE for someone to go do all the registering for Hire Heroes, Onward to Opportunity, and the baseline is the Florida Department for Veterans Affairs and all the Florida departments that are really good, Career Source and all that. But at the end of the day, if you're spending on a wrap rate, say $60,000 for a junior employee, that's wrapped. to do sort of the yeoman's work of hiring these veterans. Is it of value if you're bringing in a veteran that's worth 150,000 in base because they arrive, clearance in place, you're not going to burn 18 months of salary. And so that is all business for value proposition. And at the very difficult end of the day, it's do you have the resources? And certainly in the small business world, that answer is likely no. And so that becomes the working system, which is part of our panel for right now. So that's Larry and I in the first 15 minutes. Security clearances plus a bunch of others were available for the questions. And I'd like to keep us on time and turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, well, let me just interject that I'm getting Baron Mills from Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, Craig Washburn, who has veteran tax credits, and Jeremy Sinemaki of Veteran Florida. Maybe to pop on if they get a chance, we'll bring that up. But there's additional tax credits available in their state of Florida money. And I think that what we need to be able to do is communicate that more. So next up, we have Ryan. And I should have said not Enterprise Florida, but Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. The biggest problem for a GovCon entrepreneur is getting their CMMC certificate. How's the state of Florida helping business owners with that challenge these days? Ryan, you're on mute.
Oh no, I committed the cardinal sin of 2020-21 and started on mute. Well, good afternoon, Jenny. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time to be here and the opportunity to kind of talk about some things and how what you said, a few minutes ago resonated about meetings in Huntsville and how when you're with the defense community, it's like the Oscars, and I'm coming from Virginia, originally from Florida, but spent a lot of time in Virginia, and it was kind of the same thing. And so that's partly my goal here in the state, is to just make sure that we kind of see that excitement and appreciation here in the state of Florida, because the defense community represents a growing and robust part of our economy. It's 9% of our Florida's economy. We're the fourth largest recipient, or fourth biggest state for defense investment. We get over $17.5 billion annually awarded here. So all wonderful goals and things that I think that we're seeing an upward trajectory every time we do studies on this. I really appreciate our partners all today. A lot of our paths have crossed, many times before, and everybody is passionately committed to making that true here in Florida. I do work for DEO, but we often are confused with EFI, because basically we are the economic development agency, and we work with our P3 partners such as EFI, the Defense Support Task Force, Visit Florida, Space Florida, to kind of advance the governor's economic development goals. And kind of with that, I handle our business and military partnerships from the program side here at DEO, and work with our partners on the other side, in the entities that I just mentioned. Florida was very, or my agency was very thankful to be awarded a grant from the DoD starting in 2017. It's an economic development grant, and it was originally to design a military and defense contractors portal. And so we started that with developing a state plan, and we are slowly implementing that. So Chris, I appreciate the good shout out on that, because we're excited. We're in the development phase of that, but we are building a defense contractors searchable online portal, which will hopefully be able to help aggregate and make things easier for our defense community to find additional ideas and network together. So anybody here today, I solicit your information, as we are in the development phase, of how we can make that a more user-friendly or tool, or if there's things that you see that you think we need, I've worked a lot with Chris on this in the past because West Florida Defense Alliance has done some really great work. And Jenny as well. So people have been great with feedback. The other, as far as CMMC, we last year we were able to expand our grant to create a education and awareness training program for our small and medium-sized defense contractors. And I think you had Mike Aller speaking earlier today. They're our partner in this project and as our state MEP. Even though it is early days as far as CMMC implementation and things are changing, we believe at the state that it is crucial for several reasons why we as in Florida need to get out in front of this. One, because we don't see this going away. We see this, that there might be fits and starts, but that the defense, the DoD is committed to finalizing and implementing the CMMC and then expanding it throughout the federal government in some capacity. So it might end a little bit differently than what it looks today once they finally get through all the process, but we believe that it will be here to stay, and that it seems like it could be as much of a shift in our regulations and business culture as HIPAA was. And so for that, we want to make sure we are dispensing information to companies and are making sure people are right now being educated and having the awareness to know that this is coming, that you need to be prepared, and here are helpful tools and resources to go for next steps. We have a series of boot camps that we are conducting throughout the course of the year where businesses can attend. Florida defense contractors can all attend for free. They're online, and you can have you can listen and have your questions answered. We have a facilitator who is from the CMMC AB board, and he's from the working group, and we have live Q&A and the ability to and he has helpful resources to help facilitate that. Our next one will be May 25th. So I can put the registration link in the chat feature after we're done, and if anybody is interested. So really that's kind of in a nutshell, what we're doing. As the state, we hope to expand into next year, and have again been working with our partners on ways we can do that, because we had kind of the first bite at the apple, but we hope to really kind of drill down in years to come. So again, Jenny, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it and enjoying the summit.
Ryan, thanks so much. And we did have a great session with Mike Aller and Alec Hardy and Mike, I can't remember his last name, talking about CMMC implementation and the different resources for it. And that was very useful. And I think the main thing that's important is the state of Florida does have a database of all of the companies that are involved in defense contracting. Now they've gone back and gathered the ones that are subcontractors and that are in services. That's going to make a big difference. I think everything we're talking about is about communication, about how do people learn about it? How do veterans find out what we're muted myself. Okay. How do they, okay. Whoever's muting me, quit it. Let me turn it over to Lynn Fisher. Lynn, you've gotten certified as a CMMC, and now you're helping people with that process. Tell them a little bit about Applied Technology Academy and what you're doing and how you can help and why they need to know you, really.
My pleasure. I'm actually going to pull a few pieces together, from SkillBridge to Ryan's DEO initiatives to CMMC training and kind of what we do in our bread and butter. So Applied Technology Academy is 98% DoD focused. We deliver IT, project management certification training, all of your DoD 8570, but some very high-end pen testing and kind of off the chart DoD 8570 chart training. all to active duty military and defense contractors. So that's our daily bread and butter. So it was a natural parlay for us to become a licensed training provider for the CMMC AB. That has been a little bit of a roller coaster. I think we've all understood they're kind of the tail that's being wagged by the dog of the DoD. They're doing their best. I think they're working really hard. I do not envy Katie Arrington's position at all. So she's been a trooper. She's leading all of us. There are 29 of us globally licensed training providers. We will deliver all of the authorized training for certified professionals, CMMC certified professionals, and all of the tiers of licensed assessors, 1, 3, and subsequently soon to be 5, not yet defined. So there's only 1 and 3 that's in preparation right now. So someone listening to your conference, Jenny, might say, well, I don't want to be an assessor. That's great. Good for you, Lynn, and ATA. Have a good time. We'll eventually meet those assessors and probably, you know, not want to meet them, but we'll have to meet them. That's all true. However, there's 2 roles that I would encourage veterans to look at, especially if they're either currently a veteran or transitioning service members. That would be the registered practitioner. That gives them a very high level overview. I have nothing as an entity to do with that. It's a $500 investment for a transitioning service member or veteran to become a registered practitioner. That gives them a good overview, kind of overarching view and education, sort of a check mark of I've gone through the process of on-demand training with CMMC-AB. I think that's very beneficial career-wise for both service members transitioning as well as veterans. That can be done very easily just on their website. I'll send the link out so you can share that with everybody. They do need to register and affiliate with an RPO or a registered practitioner organization. So they can't just go through that process and kind of flail out in the hemisphere. They do need to affiliate with an RPO. I have a network of RPOs, and I'm also subsequently training the C3 PAOs, which are the assessor organizations. They could affiliate with either or. So I've got a broad network where I can make recommendations and referrals for them. The other piece is our certified professional training. It's a 5-day course. I do believe that there will be many small and mid-sized businesses that really defense contractors that need someone internally to have that depth of knowledge and spearhead their initiative internally. That's a very easy win for, again, a transitioning service member or a veteran. That is a huge check mark and verification on their resume per se when they're seeking a career, because we're kind of focusing right now on career seeking opportunities. But that is going to be probably the bulk of what we do, because ultimately CMMC-AB has 104 licensed assessors, like provisional assessors already. We will train that second tier, but ultimately the bulk of probably what we do will be the certified professional training. And that's going to be the experts across the board, both internally as well as those delivering those consulting services. So that's where I think we'll find a lot of traction. In addition to that, within SkillBridge, there's great opportunity. So I personally have had to go through myself. I'm CMMC level 1 prepared for my assessment, waiting for my assessor. I don't handle CUI, so level 1 is sufficient for me. A lot of people have tried to pony up a level. There's been a lot of discouragement around that. Probably just find where you need to be, get there, attain it for 3 years. You can always level up. We were going to go to 3. My SkillBridge intern, one of my first 2, both of whom I've hired, I'm 2 for 2 with 2 more coming on. She actually facilitated as the director of cybersecurity for the Air Force, my entire internal CMMC assessment. That was a huge win because I didn't have to do it. I mean, I was involved, but I didn't have to, put, shoes on my feet. So she did that for us. But it's been a great learning experience. There's a lot of companies out there, I think, that are frozen. They need to unfreeze. There's great resources. I'm going to put a whole PDF together for you of free resources, worksheets, tools, resources. A small and medium-sized business can do their self-assessment, be prepared. They really should already be there. They should have already submitted that, but if they haven't, they just need to unfreeze and execute. So it can be done. It's not unattainable. And then the next step is either formalize training or even skip over the training and go to your assessment stage. So there's lots of companies, again, that if anybody on this call wants to participate in that, there's many ways to do that. They can do it as veterans, they can do it from a career perspective, or they can do it internally within the organizations that they're currently in.
Well, that is great information. I've got a few comments I'm going to add, and then I'm going to come to some of the questions here in the boxes. The first thing is, in talking to some of the veterans that are looking for careers in cybersecurity, they think that defense jobs don't pay very well. We need to correct that misconception. We had a session yesterday or a couple of days ago with Colonel Al Mink, who used to be with Air Force. He talked about DevSecOps.
Yes.
And he said that the Air Force, through its AFWERX, which is its innovation program, AFWERX, is awarding SBIRs, Small Business Innovator Research, and going through the Other Transaction Authority program, OTA, to basically put a developer side by side with an airman to solve a problem right then and there from direct communication. Well, here's the deal. All the defense contractors I've been working with have been going after large IT contracts, and it takes a long time to go after. They're called IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. And so when he said that, I'm like, whoa, we're talking to the wrong people about the wrong thing at the wrong time. And I don't know what the situation is, but concurrent to this session is the session on SBIRs and OTAs. So I really want us to find ways to continue this discussion, because there are huge opportunities, but a bunch of people are wasting money and wasting time. And by the way, who knows whether these things are really going to happen or if it's more talk about talk. The last thing, Tim Jones was in the last session, and Tim Jones with Cybrick, very involved with Tampa Bay Defense Alliance, and Donna Honeycutt of WWC Global were both on there, really talking about what it took to become cyber compliant. But what Tim Jones said is, yeah, $500, go invest to become a registered practitioner, and you will have opportunities to work. He said, this will be like when Microsoft first came out with its certifications. These are foundational. You want to get them now. You want to start building on them and really invest in it from a career standpoint. And yesterday's Josh Frank in his presentation, which is about really selling to the government, said, there's a difference between an occupation and a job. A job is what you do to earn money. An occupation is what you invest in so you get the return that you're looking for. And that's really what we're wanting everybody to kind of call out themselves on and say, there's great opportunities in the defense industry in the state of Florida for veterans. We just have to tie it all together. So Doc Wright has a great question. Doc Wright's with Vets to PM, super energetic guy that's written a book on translating military speak into management and a number of other things. Doc Wright, can I put you on and let you just ask your question? Go ahead and unmute.
And Lynn is not going to be surprised that I have a question for her, because she answered one of my questions this morning via email. So Lynn, you're gracious that you're doing presentations and still taking care of Doc's dumb questions. But, this whole conversation for me is, I'm hearing these two things that I've never heard before. And it's because the space is brand new. All this CMMC DevSecOps stuff. So for those of you on the call who don't know, I make my living recruiting veterans, teaching them a fluency in whatever target language, CMMC, government contracting, project management, cybersecurity, whatever. Then we train them to get the credentials, then we place them into jobs with employers. So Lynn, my question to you is, I really like your approach where, hey, you might be able to take a vet, they've already got some intangibles coming, teach them this, and they can hit the workforce as an RP, or what was the second one you mentioned? Somebody like an internal consultant on staff to help them?
Yeah, that's the certified professional role.
Because it's, the demand is, you heard, it was one of the gentlemen speaking this morning. Oh, it was Alec from Alluvionic. This is not going away. I mean,
No.
Solar Winds proves that we aren't doing this as well as we need to be doing this right now, much less we're where we need to be. So DOD is not going to retire these requirements, right? So I'm just trying to think, how do we, since I make my living recruiting, training, and placing vets into meaningful, lucrative careers, how do we help them pipeline into this one? And I'm sure you, me, and Jeremy can figure that all out at a
One of
future
our
date,
skill
right?
bridge
But-
programs, exactly. Yeah. One of my favorite partners. I'm not supposed to have favorites, but sometimes I do. Doc. No, probably through a skill bridge program, honestly. And I do believe we can utilize Ryan and DEO's boot camps. They're free. Start there, right? Parlay into a specialization within CMMC. And what you and I are already working on, do they want to go the cyber track? They can go DevSecOps. That's really more the programming, doing programming securely, right? There's lots of programming out there, and we can talk about, I could pen test all day and find all the holes in your programming. So we can fix that. They can pick various pathways, but we could probably do that very easily through SkillBridge, Doc.
I mean, I just think, the tsunami's coming. It's already in the middle of the ocean and it's coming. Can we get out in front of it and create a space for veterans to just create really nice post-service careers in? And I think that answer is probably a resounding yes. And I think we're still real early in the game. So anyway, just always looking at the horizon, old sailor, we do that,
Okay. Hey, great question from you, Doc. I'd love to bring on Baron Mills. Baron Mills is Executive Director of Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, and he's a Marine. You know how they're unstoppable. I just asked him to come on so that he could talk a little bit about the initiatives that he's been working with. And he's not going to start his video right now, but go ahead, Baron, say hello.
Well, it's just me in a Star Wars t-shirt. I wasn't planning to come on for this, so sorry. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave the old FAVOB logo up there. I think you'll be able to see my pretty face on Monday when we talk about some of this stuff further, right? So yeah, I'm gonna talk about this some from FAVOB's perspective. I'm gonna talk about this some also from just Baron's perspective and what I've seen. I retired from the Marine Corps 5 years ago. It's almost exactly 5 years since I got out, and a lot of what I do is because of my own terrible transition that happened. I got a decent job. I got a program manager job running a, many $1 million contract supporting the Marine Corps, but it was a terrible job for me. All right. I knew 5 minutes into it, I couldn't keep doing it. And so I like to help other people try to avoid the same things. So I'll tell you, I think part of the problem in all of this is frankly, we need to change the mindset of employers and I talking very big level now. We have allowed this to happen in the veteran community because we've allowed veterans, when you hear veteran, to think of it more of as a charitable cause, as every veteran has PTSD, every veteran has major issues to overcome, and that is far from what the case is. The majority of veterans are very capable, in fact, highly capable, coming in with already great skills and experience, and they just need to be put into the right situation to excel. And so, and this really, for me, resonated, or the light bulb went off when I was sitting through a presentation from an economic development council a few years back, and they talked about the access to talent for the Central Florida region, and they put up one slide, and that one slide was of, hey, there's 500,000 college students within 100 miles of here, and I was like, that's it? Like, your pitch to everybody is the talent coming out of universities? What about the hundreds of thousands of veterans in the state that, whether they have a degree or not, they already have the experience and talent you're looking for? Why aren't you tapping into them? So I saw right then that that's part of the problem, is that employers, these major economic development groups, they don't understand the true value that's being missed by putting veterans into the right opportunities and so forth. So I think that's part of the starting point. And one of the ways to fix it right is to reduce the risk on the employer. And that's what DoD SkillBridge does. That's what the Veterans Florida Training Grant does. That's what these career source grants do, and everything is the tax credits and stuff that I know Craig Washburn will talk about. They make it, they reduce the risk on the employer by saying, look, we'll either reduce the cost, or heck, we'll even let you have a veteran for free right now to try them out. Because usually once that veteran gets in that role, they wow the employer and they say, we're going to get more of you. So within all of that, right, FAVOB, the Florida Association of Veteran Business, FAVOB is the, right, we're focused on veteran businesses in Florida, and primary purpose is to advocate on behalf of them. But within that, we know that the best employers of veterans are other veterans. And so we want to make sure that we're educating our members and educating others throughout the state about these programs that are out there, because in the end, we just want to see every veteran having meaningful employment and add to, you know, the goodness of what Florida already is.
Well, thanks a bunch, Baron. I'm going to bring on Craig Washburn, and then I'm going to turn back to the panel here. So one of the things that you mentioned, Chris, is explaining to employers that they're spending 10 to 25,000 per head for hiring, and if they had better resources, we could do it. Well, so Craig Washburn tells companies how to follow the process. They can get paid that tax credit. Craig, you've got state Florida level people on this call that I just thought this is a perfect time for you to say hello and tell them about your program.
Very good. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to hop in here and join you guys. So as she mentioned, my name is Craig Washburn. I'm the CEO and founder of VTC Veteran Tax Credits. With our primary mission is to help both veterans and the companies that they go to work for leverage the Department of Labor tax credit program, and affect veteran unemployment. But for a program that's been around for a very long time, unfortunately, there's a big delta in the knowledge around the program, both on the veteran side and on the employer side. So we help kind of both sides of the equation solve to that and use it to their advantage. On the veteran side, we help them get pre-certified. So for those of you who are maybe a little familiar with the program, there is a pre-certification process, and veterans can get what's called the 9062, which pre-certifies them into that target group, so that they're able to take that to prospective employers. And we help them with the only virtual platform today where they can come in and upload their documentation, do the paperwork, we submit it to the government. They process it, they get back the packet in the mail that's got that 9062 in it. But we also give them a letter that helps market them as a veteran to prospective employers. Because if you're not, if you're a veteran and you have a government form and you can't articulate the program, you kind of lose your leverage, because you walk into an interview and hand them a packet. They don't know what to do with it. It goes in the circular file, right? So we give them a letter that markets them. It drives them back to our site where they can see the veteran's profile, see how much of a tax credit that they qualify for based on how they answer the questions right now, because that tax credit may change if they're out of work for a longer period of time. And then they can learn more about the program and the services that we offer. And then on the employer side, our primary objective is to take the mystery and headache out of this program for them, and then help them capture those tax credits, right? And nobody likes government paperwork. I mean, we don't even like it, but we do it so that they don't have to do it, and it takes it off of their plate. And our platform is built like an applicant tracking system, with all of the tax credit stuff built into it, and it works from sourcing through credit fruition, and with very minimal entry on the employer side. And then we do the heavy lifting for the state, or for our clients. We file with the states, we follow up with the states, we become the IRS record keeper for all of the paperwork. And then at the end of the year, we wrap up all the credits that get approved and are earned on the required IRS documentation for our clients, give them back their IRS documentation that they hand off to their CPA or whoever it is that they use to file their taxes. So we do make it easy for both sides to use this program, and hopefully they hire more veterans because of it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest piece of that is an employer has to know that the program exists, and most of them don't, and they have to be initiating they have to start controlling the paperwork at the interview process. And so that's where, between Craig Washburn and Doc Wright, we've come up with some processes to do that. I really just wanted to bring it on because there's so many reasons to hire veterans, and every day I hear something else. So I just wanted to say, Larry, what should we do in this? I think we're doing a lot of this already. I'm going to take Craig off and bring him back to the panel.
Well, Jenny, I think the thing that you see is a deep commitment across the state of Florida, at least, and with the partners in the area, to try to help government contractors and to help small businesses try to grow. It's certainly far from perfect yet, especially with the evolving things that are coming up under CMMC. But you do have tools. And as I learned yesterday in talking to Lynn, the worst posture you can have as a government contractor right now is to put your head in the sand and hope this goes away. You need to lean forward and you need to take this on and be proactive in this, just for all the reasons that your last panel talked about too, from the risks that you might have as a business for your own cybersecurity for coming in. We also work, and Jenny, we didn't talk earlier, there are a huge number of initiatives right now that are working, trying to get Florida veterans and to tie them in, not only into the GovCon business, but to all the businesses that are in the area. We work hiring our heroes right now. The cohort for that with the U.S. Chamber here in Tampa alone is something like 60 veterans that are being paired with companies in the Tampa area alone. And we'll do that on a cycle of about 4 times a year as we work in our area alone. So all great initiatives in working out with that.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, and I'm really excited about it. Chris Middleton, anything else you want to add to the comments we've had so far?
The general started to list the sense of the state. I think we should take away at the state of Florida level, the grass is not greener. There are challenges, and it seems like at least once a week I receive a compliment in Florida about how coherent our ecosystem is and the fact that we really do know each other in the system. Ryan's a great sense of the reach to DEO. And so these are the challenges to overcome, but the grass is not greener. It's not better in a different state. So we got plenty to be proud of. And I think that helps with the starting point of, hey, veterans, it's a great place to work. The systems are in place. We'll work through the challenges like Craig listed. There are things we don't always know, but I really think there's an optimism that needs to be part of the discussion.
Oh, thank you so much, Chris. Hey, Ryan, let me call on you. From your perspective, what else would you like to add?
Well, thanks, Jenny. I, just kind of echo the sentiments of the gentleman. I think, Florida is a wonderful place to live. We have a very, business friendly, great, welcoming environment for people. And then also we're just, a great, wonderful state with 1,000 miles of beaches. So, we always have that going for us. And then I agree, we have wonderful partners and resources. So to link companies, especially small and mid-sized businesses, to help them get, the tools that they need, whether it's through our chambers, our business organizations, our EDCs, our defense alliances. We really do have a lot of great resources, locally, regionally, and statewide. And so, I think Chris hit it just right, that the grass is not greener, that we do have a lot, and get in touch with any of us, and we're happy to help however we can. So.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it. And I saw, Lynn, that you put in the link for the CMMC registered practitioner. How about wrap us up, Lynn, with, the entrepreneurial side of finding opportunities for veterans and broadening this, and how it's, what else you're doing. How about that, Lynn?
I have to affirm exactly, albeit Baron, I'm not a veteran. I am invested in hiring veterans, and Craig, I hired a fully disabled veteran, had no idea there was a $9,600 tax credit. No, oh, no, I'm sending you the paperwork. The 8550's filled out, Craig. I'm on you right after this call. That's yours. I'm throwing the ball. So there's to your point, education, right? That was not my motive in hiring him. He was the right hire. I love him. He's a son I've never had. So had somebody come through his shoot and a jump and his back is trashed. He's a great kid, 7 Special Forces. So anyhow, look at the extra blessings in all of that, who knew? But I do believe, what keeps striking me is Governor DeSantis put a stake in the ground. That was to be #1 in IT talent by 2030. We can do that. It's going to take a collective effort, not just ATA. It's going to take universities, colleges, training companies, all of us as contractors. We can also probably be #1 when it comes to defense contractors that are CMMC certified. So I'll put that stake in the ground. I think we can do that collectively as a community. all of the people here within your summit, as we're working together, as Chris mentioned, all these synergies, and Larry, we can do this. We could be #1 in the country. That's sort of my personality. I don't like #2. Let's go 1 on IT talent and CMMC compliance and approval.
And veteran hiring on top of that. So, you know,
Absolutely. Let's not forget that. Correct.
Hey, thank you all so much for being on today. You know, it's been a great session, learned a lot, and thank you so much for being on.